So to get started, this is from our game camera that we've left in place for quite a while now. Last year, obviously this is a trail here where people hike and snowmobile, but last year we had it on a tree over on the other side, way over there, facing this direction, and we caught a photo that was controversial. We'll go over that later, but I wanted to go over a photo that we recently caught, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about it. So here you have your snowmobiler, and you could see, how relative he is height-wise, and the size of the machine, and we all know, relative specs. So I wanted to start with this, and then I'll go to the next photo and show you. Alright, so this is the photo that I had some questions about that was a little bit odd to me. We caught this, it's kind of odd because this is the same area coming in and out of where we caught that photo last year. And this area in the back here is where we've caught tracks crossing at this time of the year, many times. So this is why we've had the game cam set up in this particular location. But there's a lot that you're going to find out today. So this is the photo here. You can see this figure right here. Let's go one more maybe. So what I wanted to point out is, if you look at the body, the figure itself, okay, the knees are bent. You can't see the feet because they're like in the snow. This is probably a good 2 or 3 feet off the trail. The trail's a little compacted because of snowmobiles, but off to the sides it's not. It looks like this figure is walking into the woods because the trail goes, kind of parallel back here. It's got the sloped or the rounded shoulders. It looks like it's got a rounder head on it. I can't see the arms really. Maybe somebody else could point that out to me. It's super pixelated, but I'm not seeing any colors on this. As you've seen with the snowmobiler right here, you see his colors, same distance, blacks, greens, pinks. He's got a helmet on. You see all these colors, purple, relative for the same distance. So the trail cam should have captured any color if this thing had color or clothing on it. And as you can see, clothing doesn't sit proper. The way the outline isn't smooth compared to this photo here. So it was odd. I'm going to try to zoom that in just to see if I can see anything. It looks odd to me, and the reason I'm pointing it out is, the way the knees are bent and so on and so forth. I don't see any skis. Skiers normally, this seems to be a shorter but a wide figure. If somebody were to say, hey, that could be a person in a snowsuit. Well, people that ski usually don't wear snowsuits, and I'll show you a relative photo, of that. Sometimes they do, but most likely they wear the tighter clothing and so on and so forth. But this photo just seemed like it was too smooth. I didn't see any colors. You could see that whatever this is stepped into the snow. Let's say this is roughly 2 feet. The knee is still way above it, because from our analysis, the trail that actually is behind this figure, the distance from the trail to the woods is 27 feet. And it does drop down all the way, from the trail to the edge of the woods. There is a drop down of up to 22 inches at the wood line. But to compare some things, let's take a look. So here is a skier relative, sort of in the same position. See how you can see, you know, they've got their shoes, you can see the colors, they wear the tight clothing for skiing. Totally different than the other figure that you were seeing over here, which was seemed like it was facing into the woods and not across the trail. So I wanted to give that sort of for reference. And then what I did here is I just kind of overlaid it so you can see, like, the skier is going across the trail where this body's turned, actually going toward the edge of the woods. Look how thin the legs are compared to this here. You know, you got probably a younger gentleman, or, you know, maybe it's a female, but I didn't really see breast here in this location. So I was just going as it was a male. But if you take in retrospect the size difference, just the width, you know, could it be a skier? Yeah. Could it be a snowmobiler? Sure, but I don't see a snowmobile anywhere. So it really kind of didn't make sense. And this subject being off the trail in the deep snow, I was going to try to line everything up. As you can see, this stick here would line up right here with this one, so it's a little bit off. So this person might be a little taller in retrospect, but this subject is actually bending over, slouched in deeper snow, you know, on a drop. So it's relative. It could be taller. I mean, it could be shorter, but just the mass of this body doesn't look like a skier. You're not going to wear those big Carhartts or something like that, if that's what people want to say it is, to go skiing. You're going to wear this type of clothing. And if it were a snowmobiler, I would expect to see a helmet. I'd expect to see colors. I don't see any colors in the suit. I mean, they could wear all black. That is a 100% possibility. But it was odd. It just, certain things set it off, and I'm going to tell you why it's actually odd here shortly. We'll go and show this one now. This was an old photo that we caught. This blur back here we had believed was a possible Sasquatch. If you look, you can see the length of that arm going way out around that tree, the conical shaped head. There's a big discrepancy about the colors, this being a reddish and this being a brownish. We either believe that it could have been caused by the sun via the time of day, or, you know, it was like a multi-color, like a two-tone, let's call it an animal. Let's call it whatever you want. And we had shared reference photos of skiers. And what happened is a lot of people latched onto that, like in the Bigfoot community, and tried to use that against us. So they were saying that, you know, oh, they're sharing a skier, and that's what they're thinking Bigfoot is. So what we did is we kind of cut out this little photo of a skier, and the trail is roughly right here. As you can see the discoloration right there, there's a line. That's the trail. So this subject was way back here. You can kind of see the difference now, how far it is off the trail, like it's coming, to me, this subject is coming out of the woods. It's got its arm way out here, extended around that tree. Some people did analysis to try to say it was a skier with a pole, and I don't see any skis on it. So what I did is I tried to put this person here for reference on the trail, and you could see how much bigger this subject is. Is it 100% a Sasquatch? Well, I tend to say possibly, just based on some of the proportions. So that's what we did is, this year we said, well, let's put the camera on the other side, way over here. So what we did is the camera view you see is on this side of the wood line, facing, let's say, this ski area. And it was kind of funny that in the same location, we're catching another subject come in or out, as you've seen, that didn't have any color, that was jet black, kind of looked different, way different than a skier, didn't look like a snowmobiler, didn't have a helmet, didn't even have a snowmobile. You know, that's why we were showing these reference photos. Can we definitively say 100% that it's Sasquatch? No. But when you start doing your research and putting two and two together, you'll understand, you'll be able to make things out, and you'll be able to see proportions. Now, the key thing I wanted to share about this, even if this is off just a little bit, let's say here's your skier. Your skier is 5'5". I don't know. Just for guessing. Now, at the wood line from the trail, that drops down 22 inches. And this subject here is still taller than the skier. So, one could technically say, if this subject was standing on the trail, he would be 22 inches taller. Right? Our arms usually are not this long to wrap around a tree like that. Like I said, we caught a lot of controversy about this photo, but we're trying to follow suit and stay in the same area and keep doing things, and that's why we're having trail cameras placed there. You're going to hear a phone call here, or a video pretty soon, from our forest rangers, and I'm going to explain to you some things about trail cameras. And before we do that, I just wanted to show another reference from that area. Snowmobiler, black snowmobile suit, you know, you'll see the stripes, you'll see the colored helmets, you'll see a snowmobile, in fact. So, you know, is that new photo we caught a possible Sasquatch? Could be. You never know. But when you start adding things together, you know, longevity and being in the right place and certain things. Now, one will say, well, that trail looks really used, highly used. Well, it is sometimes, but you don't understand the amount of photos that we go through and pick certain photos out to just be able to show you certain things. This camera, in fact, had 660 photos on it. You have to go through it. You have to be diligent. You have to, you know, figure out photos to show people and so on and so forth. There was no before and no after photo of the subject that we... No after photo, this no before, no after. This was just it. One lonely photo, and I mean, who knows? But it's interesting to me. Just the way the body is. You're not seeing bulky clothing lines. It's super smooth. I don't see a jacket line. You know, even if it was a two-piece suit where your Carhartt came up and you'd see a jacket. I don't really see that. I'm having a hard time seeing arms and hands. Obviously something might be hidden or something. Maybe that's a hand wave from the other side right there. I'm not sure. But like I said, I wanted to share this just so people can see. That's a very wide thigh. It really is. And the way the butt is just... I don't know, there's just something about it. So I wanted to share that. But what we'll do is now I'm going to get into this video about trail cameras. What I'm going to tell you is that we've recently had an issue with our forest rangers. Not an issue, but, you know, we learned some things. You are not allowed to have any game cameras on state property in New York State. This comes from the forest rangers himself. I was contacted by a forest ranger. They had confiscated 3 of our cameras and our gifting area. And, well, I'll let you watch the video, but ultimately, you know, we got our things back, and at least so you can hear from them. There's 2. Hi.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Good. So yeah, like I talked to you, I was just giving you a written warning today.
Okay.
So that way, in the future, if we run into your stuff on state land again, you know, you were aware of it.
That's, like I said, I had no idea you couldn't use cameras on state land. That's crazy.
Yeah, you can't store anything. You can have hunting blinds and stands. State forest, you can have them there for 30 days, and on the WMAs, you can't have anything up for more than a day.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, that's news to me, but okay.
Yeah.
It ain't going to happen again. Yeah. That's fine.
No,
I appreciate it.
Right. There's a lot of rules and regs. I know on a lot of signs it does say, you know, look up their New York, 6 New York rules and regs.
Is there a way to actually look these up so I know, like, for...
You can look up all New York State law online. Everything's posted.
Is it just through your rangers, right?
Yep.
Not, is that the same as DEC?
We're
Just
a different division in the DEC.
right. Yep.
Okay.
Same agency. Just we focus our efforts in two directions.
Okay. Well, is it, what I'm trying to get at is it all under the same thing? Do I look up under DEC for, like, laws?
Yep.
Yeah, everything will be under state land laws, which
Okay.
is
Environmental conservation law.
right.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
there's another set of laws that called New York Code of Rules and Regulations, and Title VI has to do with all of the state land.
Title VI.
Yep.
Okay. See, they don't put none of that in the book. They don't.
There's a million things out there, and it's not fair to everyone. You know.
How come, let me just ask you this, how come you guys don't print out like a pamphlet that every hunter has to have or
It would be
something?
about this thick.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like New York State penal law. You know, if everyone had a copy of penal law and VTL, and,
It's crazy.
you know, you should know the laws and rules of the road.
I
But
guess
if
now,
you-
yeah.
You know, a lot
It's
of
just,
it's
I get
common
it.
sense.
Yeah.
But, right.
But something as much as like a game cam, I didn't know you couldn't just,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Right, and that's why we're not.
I appreciate it.
counted, you know?
Okay. Do you want me to get them or do you gotta?
I just gotta get your license and just check your. All right, thanks.
Yep.
So, I'll tell you what happened on our end of things with this.
Okay.
We had wildlife technicians up doing some work in the woods, and they saw the silver pot out there with the camera.
Okay.
They called us because they thought it was something for cooking meth.
That's what he was saying for drugs.
People think that's how people are cooking meth now.
In the woods?
In the woods. Yep, they just leave bottles out with chemicals in them, and the chemicals are explosive. So they saw the pot, they flagged it for us, and they pretty much ran off and called us.
Okay.
We had to get our drug recognition people to come out.
Really?
Up into the woods with us too.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
After a while, we kind of talked about it, and we thought it was maybe a geocache after that. After the drug people came out, and they said usually the
Yeah.
pot would be, you know, not just a little bit of duct tape on the top. But we had to get a bunch of people to come out and take a look at it before we could do anything.
I wish you guys would have seen the cameras to be able to call me.
Well, people put the cameras out because they want to know who's checking around their area that they're cooking meth.
I get that.
The cameras were like the big giveaway for something was wrong.
Oh wow.
Yep, and then we found the two on the pathway too on the ski
Yeah.
trail.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what was going on.
I wish they would have found those and called me first, so you guys wouldn't have had to have all kinds of people come out there.
Well, if it ended up being something involving drugs, we wouldn't have touched anything.
It would have. Yeah, I
Drug
know.
recognition people would have taken everything, and then they start doing their fingerprints and all that.
I get it. Yeah, no problem. No, I understand. Because when he was saying that, I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, no, has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times we've come across propane tanks with soda bottles and.
Up there, or just everywhere? You mean?
Actually, up on Canada Way, we had an issue with squatters doing meth on one of the snowmobile trails. And aerosol cans everywhere because they were getting high.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
It's like you can't do anything anymore because they're all into that garbage.
Yeah. It gets
And a lot of people use that area up there, you know what I mean? Like,
extremely popular.
yeah, especially this year. The last 2 or 3 years, it wasn't as popular, but this year it's like, wow, there's a lot of people up there.
Yep.
I get it. No, I completely understand. I didn't know you had to go through all that. Oh my, I just...
It's all right. It happens. You know, what can you do?
No, I...
Basically, anything on... So there's two classifications of land in Chautauqua County. There's state forest and there's WMAs, the wildlife management areas.
What's the difference? Like, what are they considering?
Different wildlife management areas are run by the wildlife department.
Okay.
State forests are run by forestry.
Okay.
So they have two different goals.
So if the DEC actually, the other side of them runs other forests, is what you're saying, and you run the WMAs?
No, we're the state police for any state land.
Oh.
The NCON officers, they do fish and wildlife specifically on private land. They do pollution, environmental quality, air quality, stuff like that.
Okay.
Anything state land is us. We also do search and rescue and wildfire fighting too, but
Yeah.
our primary focus is state land law.
No, I get it.
But
Like, he was saying you can't even camp up there. He was saying on the phone.
on WMAs, no. Not unless you're at a designated campsite.
So, like, on that area up there, they have that camping area. That, what is it? The lean-tos.
That's technically county property. It's not state property.
Really?
Yep.
So just that little bit's county property?
No, because that's right on the border of state land. County has some land that runs along us too. The road that runs back there along the lean-tos is county also. From
the other road?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. There are some. If it's a designated campsite, if it's got a yellow disc nailed to a tree or something, it's got a tent on it, you can camp there. State forest, you can camp anywhere as long as you're more than 150 feet from a road or stream or water.
So, like, state forest is Botwell Hill, you're saying?
Yeah, it's a little bit. The regulations are a little bit looser.
Okay.
You can't put anything up. Basically, it's called storage of personal property.
So WMA, though, you can't do no camping no matter what, not even with a permit.
If you get a permit, you'd have to apply for that from wildlife, the wildlife department.
Okay.
And it's totally up to them what they want to let you do.
Okay.
They would let us know, hopefully.
Is there just a reason why they don't let people camp?
I honestly don't know. The WMA side of rules is designed to be a little bit stricter because they do. I mean, it's wildlife management. They have typically more like threatened species on their land, wetlands.
Yeah. No, I get it. I was just wondering, like, because they're virtually the same, you know. Mm-hmm. And I mean, what's the difference? 4 miles, 5 miles?
Yeah.
As the bird flies, you know.
It all depends on which department acquires the land. If forestry gets it, they make it state forest land. They don't typically do too much logging on the wildlife management areas, whereas the forestry department, they'll log all their stands every 50 or 60 years.
No, I get it, yeah. I just never heard of anything like that. So, like, even Botwell Hill, you can't use a game camera?
Nope. Game cams can't be. The only thing they allow are tree stands, and that's for 30 days. Basically during hunting season.
30 days, yeah. Same with a blind, right? Is what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, anything you're using for hunting is okay, except for game cams. You can't build tree stands at all.
Oh. Well, no.
You can't use the thumbtacks, the reflectors.
You can't?
Nope. Anything that you have to stick into a tree. The only tree stands you can use are non-permanent.
With a ratchet strap?
With a ratchet strap. And
so,
if they spike into the tree, can't have that either. Can't damage the trees.
Okay. I understand.
All right. Like I said, this is a warning notice. Just says you're in violation of storage of personal property on a wildlife management area.
Okay.
So all it does is goes in our system that
for it to have it.
You got a warning. So
okay.
If it happens again, then
you gotta take it.
Yep.
Okay.
So I just need your signature there saying you acknowledge it.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
And then there's your license.
Okay.
And we'll grab your stuff for you, and I just gotta have you sign something saying you received your
nice.
Back. It's
okay.
just the pot and the 3 cameras.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And he told you why we kind of got weirded out about it. Like.
Yeah, I didn't. I told him. I said I wish they would have seen the numbers on my camera and could have called me instead of having a bunch of people come out there and have to.
Well, yeah, we don't want to touch things. You know.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I'll give you my card too when we're all done. That way, if you do have more questions in the future, you can just give me a call and
awesome.
Maybe get an answer.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
May I call for anything? I know it gets confusing.
I know there's
confusing for us. You know,
well, there.
It all out too,
yeah, there's so many laws, you know, but I didn't think, you know, just something simple like that is.
Yeah, well, I know if they have a lot of people doing it, if game cams were allowed, they'd probably be on every tree out there.
Yeah.
You know.
I never even
tree stands. I had to pull 7 or 8 tree stands out of Mount Pleasant State Forest because they'd been left for so long. The trees had grown in around them.
Really?
People put the tree steps up them, the spiked tree steps.
Yeah.
And totally ruined some real big, you know, like 2-3 foot black cherries that they were going to log.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of old growth forest left, you know.
Mm-hmm. And they log state land pretty heavy.
Yeah. So I get it, you know, but I should. Oh, that works.
Just double check everything is in there that you left it or...
1, 2, 3. Yeah, it works. Take that. Take that.
Okay. No, it doesn't see if it received.
They didn't take the cards out. Should I check?
Nope, cards are in there.
Okay.
Yep. I'm the only one in possession of it, so.
Did you get to see anything?
No.
So we're next to your name?
Underneath received by, just print and sign.
Received by. Purpose of Orange History. Show me where?
Right here. Sorry.
Okay.
Print your name there. All right.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry about all that.
Oh, just gotta sign it right below it.
Oh.
Some people looking out the window.
Get a business card for you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Like I said, sorry for all the confusion. I just didn't know you were not allowed to use a game cam on state land. That's...
We find them all the time.
Do you?
Yeah, nobody labels them. Actually, one of the big things was the phone number was on there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have just entered into evidence, and it would have sat there, and you would have thought it was stolen.
Exactly.
Yep.
No. Well, at least you got to hear what they had to say. New York State property in WMAs, no game cams are allowed whatsoever in New York State. The people I hunt with, the parties I hunt with, I've talked to over about 25 people on this matter. Nobody was informed about this. They're calling it storage, that you're storing a game cam or something on their property, and it is not permitted. So I'm going to have to look this up, Article 6, because this is not in your manual that you get when you get your license at your sporting goods store. I'm grateful they didn't give me a ticket. You know, you can only know so many laws, as he stated. It would be as big as the vehicle and traffic penal law if you had a book of it. So you can only know so many, and something like this, I mean, is it because we're researching Bigfoot? Who knows? But, you know, I understand where they're coming from, that people are cooking drugs in the woods, and but everything we have is labeled clearly. This here, what you're seeing, is it's really odd, because one of our cards came back with this name. Dame 1 or Damey 1, or I have no idea. Kind of odd. All our photos were erased, though, from these 3 cams. So whoever did it, we don't really know. All we can do is log it in. But some of the things that he said, if you really pay attention to, are interesting. But I just wanted to share that, and at least you guys have a tidbit of knowledge now, not to use any game cams on New York State property or WMAs. So, could this here be what we think it is? Maybe I was getting too close. The last video I did was talking about the migration and possible X's that were found. Maybe I'm getting on the trail of some things. Who knows? They were really nice gentlemen. I appreciate their time. But I had asked him how they found my stuff to begin with, and he said that they were doing inventory. And I thought to myself, what are you doing inventory of? Snowmobilers? Trees? In the freezing weather? So it didn't make sense to me. The one officer said that they were doing recon. So I don't really know. It's neither here nor there, but you will get stumbling blocks along the way. And now that we cannot use trail cameras, we will have to spend twice the amount, maybe 3 times the amount of time out in the woods with our regular cameras. So from now on, unless it's private property, we have 2 or 3 sections where we could possibly put trail cameras up. You will not see any more trail camera photos from us, you know, for our research purposes, and you know, unless they give us permits, which we're going to check into. Or unless it comes from, you know, on private property. Because you got to abide by the law, guys, no matter what you do. So, just some tidbits I wanted to show you. Let me know what you think.